Gold Rush exclusive. Tony Beets' dirty tailings are a problem. In the next gold rush, miner Tony Beets drives up to see that his son Kevin is letting the tailings escape the trummel in a terrible state. The rocks are not properly washed. That means fine gold is being lost in that dirt coating. Tony drives up with one of his grandsons to see Kevin is a bit out of his depth with the trummel malfunction. In TV shows as exclusive preview below, Kevin is working when his dad drives up and calls him, asking him if he noticed that the tailings are very dirty, a sure sign something is wrong with the equipment. Beets employs all his kids on the jobs as Monica has one plant, middle son Mike works on another, and Kevin oversees the old dredge. Tony calls over to Kevin and asks him if he saw the tailings. Kevin did notice they were dirty. Tony tells his grandson to hang tight as he goes out to see what is going on with the wash plant. Exasperated, Tony says, "Give me a break." "Hey Kevin, do you copy? Have a look at them tailings lately?" Kevin tells him he is on his way to meet him. Tony tells Kevin that they cannot let this situation stand and notes how the water is not washing the rocks off properly. They need to salvage the gold in the dirt. The narrator explains the troublesome scenario. The trommel uses water jets to blast paid dirt off rocks, sending gold-rich material down to the sluices. The dirty tailings indicate that the trommel isn't washing the rocks properly, and it is discarding them still covered in gold. The filthy rocks mean expensive trouble, as Tony laments, in his own colorful way, the new issue that they are facing. The two men head down the hill to check the pump that supplies the trommel, and they see that the valve is sucking so much air that the pump can't deliver enough water. The Paradise Hill claim is located at Paradise Hill in the Klondike area of the Yukon up in Canada. It is a mining claim owned by Beets. Many believe that this claim is one of the most lucrative in the Klondike. Mechanic and operator Kevin is the eldest of the Beets children, and he's often part of the mix when things go wrong and need fixing up. Kevin has been mining with his father since he was just 13 years old, and he has been running crews since he was 19. Since the end of Season 6, Kevin is running Tony's resurrected dredge. Kevin is educated and has degrees in both leadership and computer science. Discovery says that in his spare time he paints Warhammer figures. Gold Rush airs Fridays at 9 p.m. on Discovery. Gold Rush exclusive. Tony Beets' dirty tailings are a problem. The allure of gold has always been irresistible. The history of gold mining is laced with stories of untold riches, ambitious pioneers, and the rise and fall of empires. However, with the promise of fortune also comes the undeniable environmental cost. In the world of Gold Rush, one of the most prominent figures is Tony Beets, the Dutch-born miner known for his bold strategies, larger-than-life personality, and relentless pursuit of success. But while Beets has made a name for himself in the Klondike, his operations are now facing scrutiny over a growing environmental concern: dirty tailings. A legacy of success, but at what cost? Tony Beets has been part of the Gold Rush saga since its early days, securing a reputation as one of the most successful miners in the Yukon. He commands vast operations, including his claim on the Paradise Hill and later the Indian River claim. Beets' mining methods have often been described as ruthless but effective, with an emphasis on maximizing production and profit. His no-nonsense approach and willingness to take risks have brought him both admiration and criticism from fellow miners. However, as Beets' empire has grown, so too have the environmental consequences of his operations. In particular, the issue of tailings. Mining waste left behind after the extraction of gold has become a focal point. Tailings consist of a slurry of leftover rock, water, chemicals, and other materials, and while they are a natural byproduct of gold mining, how they are managed and disposed of can have severe environmental consequences. Beets, like many miners before him, has faced little accountability in his early years. However, as the Yukon becomes more regulated and environmental concerns reach a boiling point, the issue of dirty tailings is gaining serious attention. The problem with tailings are the remnants of gold extraction. After gold is mined from the earth, the remaining material is processed using water, chemicals, and mechanical equipment. The tailings are then deposited, often in large ponds or pits, to await disposal. In some cases, these ponds are not properly maintained, leading to leaching into the surrounding environment, which can contaminate water sources, soil, and wildlife habitats. For miners like Tony Beets, tailings are often a necessary evil. In the rush to process as much dirt as quickly as possible, efficient tailings. However, when left unchecked, dirty tailings can pose significant threats to the environment. The chemicals used in gold extraction, such as cyanide and mercury, can seep into nearby rivers and streams, harming aquatic life and compromising the health of local ecosystems. In Beets' case, his operations on Paradise Hill and Indian River are notorious for producing large quantities of tailings. While his sluice boxes, dredges, and wash plants work at full capacity to extract gold, the sheer volume of waste created is staggering. And with little oversight in the early years of his career, Beets' methods have led to the accumulation of tailings in areas where they could be causing damage, a fact that is not lost on environmental groups and concerned citizens. Legal and regulatory scrutiny as environmental laws tighten in the Yukon, miners are facing increased pressure to clean up their act. In Canada, tailings management is subject to regulations designed to limit the environmental impact of mining operations. The Yukon's Mining Act, alongside federal laws such as the Canadian Environmental Assessment Act, lays out stringent requirements for tailings storage and disposal. Beets, known for his disregard for authority and love of taking risks, has run afoul of these regulations in the past. His operations have often been criticized for their lack of attention to sustainable practices. While Beets continues to push back against some of these regulations, claiming they hinder his ability to mine efficiently, the growing awareness of environmental impacts is making it harder for him to avoid scrutiny. In recent years, public interest in the environmental consequences of gold mining has reached new heights. Indigenous groups, environmental activists, and concerned citizens have started to demand accountability from miners like Beets, pushing for more sustainable practices in the region. These voices have become louder, and their calls for action are resonating with policymakers, leading to more frequent audits and inspections of mining operations. Beets' tailing management practices, once overlooked, are now under intense examination. The cost of clean UPA's Tony Beets' dirty tailings continue to pile up. The cost of cleaning them up is becoming an increasing burden. The reality of mining in the 21st century is that the environmental damage caused by tailings can no longer be ignored. What was once a practice deemed inconsequential is now the subject of intense debates, lawsuits, and calls for reparations. For Beets, the cleanup of his tailings could result in a massive financial cost. While Beets has been successful in extracting millions in gold over the years, the liability associated with his environmental practices could dwarf those profits if he is forced to spend large sums on remediating the damage. The legal and financial implications of tailings cleanup are already being felt by miners across Canada, with some companies facing hefty fines and even mandatory shutdowns if they fail to comply with environmental regulations. But the cleanup efforts required to address the mess left behind by dirty tailings are not only costly, but also technically challenging. Tailings ponds can cover vast areas, and the toxic materials within them, often need to be treated before they can be safely neutralized. In some cases, tailings have been found to contain heavy metals and other pollutants that are difficult and expensive to remove. For Beets, this could be a make-or-break issue. His reputation as a hard-nosed, take-no-prisoners miner could be tested by the reality of environmental responsibility. Beets' response: fighting back or facing the facts? Tony Beets is no stranger to controversy. Over the years, he has earned a reputation as a miner who doesn't back down from a challenge. His brash demeanor and willingness to bend or break the rules have made him both a hero to some and a villain to others. In the face of mounting pressure to address the issue of tailings, Beets has remained defiant, maintaining that his operations are efficient and that he is not responsible for the environmental damage caused by mining. "I'm just doing my job," Beets once said in an interview. "If I'm successful, it's because I know how to get the gold out of the ground. The rest is just noise." However, this stance may no longer be enough to protect Beets from the growing demands for accountability. As more and more people recognize the environmental cost of gold mining, Beets' position could become untenable. For miners like Beets, the battle between profit and environmental responsibility is intensifying. The gold that once seemed so easy to extract is now coming at a higher price. Looking ahead, is there a way forward? The future of gold mining in the Yukon, and Tony Beets' legacy, may ultimately depend on how well he adapts to the changing environmental landscape. The growing pressure for more responsible mining practices, including the